What if I told you that Alexander the Great's army at Gaugamela was outnumbered nearly 5 to 1, yet they achieved one of the most decisive victories in ancient history? Picture this: the Persian forces led by King Darius III numbered an estimated 250,000 warriors, supported by war elephants, scythed chariots, and a seemingly endless supply of resources. In contrast, Alexander commanded a modest 47,000 troops, an army that relied not on size, but on unparalleled discipline, innovative tactics, and the unshakable loyalty of soldiers who believed in their leader's vision. Even more astonishing, the battlefield was chosen by Darius to maximize his numerical advantage, stretching wide plains to allow his army's sheer mass to engulf the Macedonians. Yet despite all odds, Alexander not only survived the onslaught, but engineered a victory so complete that it crushed the Persian Empire's dominance forever. This was not just a clash of armies, but a battle of wits, strategy, and unrelenting determination. How did Alexander manage to turn the impossible into reality? Let's break down the moments that defined this legendary conflict and cemented his legacy as one of history's greatest military leaders. To understand the significance of the Battle of Gaugamela, we first need to understand the man behind it, Alexander the Great. Born in 356 BC in Macedonia, Alexander was no ordinary leader. By the age of 20, he had ascended to the throne, after the assassination of his father, King Philip II. Yet Alexander wasn't content with ruling a single kingdom. His ambition was to conquer the known world, and by 331 BCE he had already secured major victories, including the decisive Battle of Issus, which crushed an earlier Persian force. But the Persian Empire wasn't ready to crumble. King Darius III, desperate to retain his throne and empire, rallied one of the largest armies the ancient world had ever seen. The stakes were immense. If Alexander lost, his campaign would end, and the Persian Empire would retain its dominance over much of Asia. If he won, Alexander would cement his place as a world-conquering legend. The Battle of Gaugamela wasn't just another military engagement. It was the ultimate test of Alexander's genius and resilience. Facing overwhelming numbers and a battlefield designed for his defeat, Alexander approached the challenge with boldness, precision, and a vision that would change the course of history forever. When Alexander's forces marched toward Gaugamela, they faced a seemingly insurmountable challenge: the sheer size and complexity of the Persian army. King Darius III had assembled a force of approximately 250,000 men, though some historians estimate it may have been even larger. This army wasn't just a display of raw numbers, it was a showcase of Persian wealth, power, and tactical innovation. The Persian army included units from across its vast empire: infantry, cavalry, and the infamous war chariots, armed with spinning scythes capable of slicing through tightly packed formations. Darius also brought war elephants, towering beasts meant to terrify and scatter Alexander's troops. The battlefield itself presented another hurdle. Darius deliberately chose the wide-open plains near Gaugamela to give his massive army room to maneuver and outflank the Macedonians. The ground was even cleared of obstacles to optimize the use of his chariots. For Alexander's smaller force, these challenges were daunting. They couldn't afford to be encircled. And the Macedonian phalanx, Alexander's primary formation, was vulnerable to sudden breaks in its lines. Yet as daunting as the Persian army appeared, it was plagued by its own weaknesses: a lack of unity among its ranks, and a reliance on sheer intimidation rather than coordinated strategy. Alexander knew that defeating such a force would require more than brute strength. It would take brilliance, adaptability, and nerves of steel. While the Persian army relied on overwhelming numbers and intimidating tactics, Alexander's brilliance lay in his ability to turn strategy into an art form. At Gaugamela, he carefully studied the terrain, the enemy's strengths, and their likely moves. His plan was not to meet the Persian forces head-on, but to outmaneuver and outthink them. Alexander's army was divided into several key units, with the phalanx at its heart. This tightly packed formation of heavily armed infantry carried long spears called sarissas, creating a nearly impenetrable wall of defense. To the sides he positioned cavalry units, including his elite companion cavalry, which he personally commanded. These horsemen were not only swift, but devastatingly effective in executing flanking maneuvers. One of Alexander's most ingenious moves was feigning retreat on his right flank. This maneuver baited Darius into committing his forces prematurely, leaving a crucial gap in the Persian lines. As chaos erupted, Alexander led his cavalry in a direct charge toward Darius himself, aiming to strike at the very heart of the Persian army. Meanwhile, the Macedonian phalanx held strong, anchoring the center and preventing the Persians from encircling the smaller force. The combination of discipline, coordination, and strategic deception turned what should have been a disadvantage into a decisive advantage. Alexander's ability to think several steps ahead and adapt in real time ensured that every move his army made was a step toward victory. The turning point of the Battle of Gaugamela came in a single, audacious move that defined Alexander's genius and bravery. After luring Darius into overextending his forces, Alexander spotted a critical weakness, a gap forming in the Persian lines as their cavalry pursued the Macedonian right flank. With lightning-fast decision-making, Alexander seized the opportunity. Leading his elite companion cavalry, Alexander launched a direct assault into the gap, aiming to strike at the Persian king himself. The sight of Alexander clad in dazzling armor and charging at full speed was as much psychological warfare as it was tactical brilliance. The Macedonian cavalry, trained to fight as a cohesive unit, drove deep into the Persian ranks, cutting through like a blade. This bold maneuver sent shockwaves through the Persian army. Seeing his lines crumble and Alexander rapidly approaching, Darius panicked. In a moment of fear, the Persian king abandoned his chariot and fled the battlefield on horseback, leaving his massive army leaderless and demoralized. The sight of their king retreating shattered the Persian forces' morale. Chaos spread as soldiers either fled or were cut down by the disciplined Macedonian troops. Alexander's gamble had paid off, turning what could have been a long, grueling battle into a swift and decisive victory. The Battle of Gaugamela was more than a victory. It was a turning point in world history. Alexander's triumph effectively marked the end of the Persian Empire's dominance, with King Darius III fleeing for his life. The empire's vast territories, including Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, were left vulnerable and quickly fell into Alexander's hands. For Alexander, the victory solidified his reputation as one of the greatest military leaders in history. He demonstrated not only unmatched tactical skill, but also the ability to inspire absolute loyalty in his troops, even when facing seemingly insurmountable odds. The Macedonian army, though smaller, was now the dominant force in the ancient world, and Alexander's dream of conquering the East was within reach. The battle also had profound implications for the ancient world. It brought Greek culture and influence deeper into Asia, setting the stage for the Hellenistic era, a fusion of Greek, Persian, and other Eastern traditions. This cultural blending would shape art, science, and politics for centuries to come. Ultimately, Gaugamela wasn't just a military victory. It was a testament to the power of innovation, leadership, and the human spirit to overcome the impossible. The Battle of Gaugamela remains one of the most thrilling and decisive moments in ancient history. Alexander the Great's unmatched courage and tactical genius turned what seemed like certain defeat into a victory that reshaped the world. Now it's your turn to join the conversation. What was your favorite moment from this incredible battle? Was it Alexander's daring cavalry charge, the discipline of the phalanx, or the sheer audacity of challenging a much larger force? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. And if you're passionate about history and epic battles like this one, make sure to check out our other videos diving into ancient conflicts, legendary leaders, and the stories that shaped civilizations. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a moment of history coming to life. This is History Replay, This Day.